Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic. And welcome back to tonight's channel, everybody. I'm so excited to have you all back together again. And in today's video, we're doing a tier list for all 18 Disneynature films. Because this past weekend, we got the newest Disneynature film. Well, this past week, actually, on Monday, we got the newest Disneynature film, Tiger, that explores the tigers of India. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started talking about Disneynature films. Alright, so first up we have Crimson Wing, the Flamingo Disneynature film. And I'm gonna be completely honest, it's kind of interesting because as we're going through these movies, they're documentaries about animals. And you know, for me, a couple of weeks ago I did a list of my top 5 favorite animals of all time. And in some cases, there are some documentaries on here that I think handle some of those animals really well. And obviously Flamingo, but honestly, as you're kind of ranking them, you're kind of ranking them based off how well they tell that story and how interesting the animal is and how well they make the animal so interesting. And with Crimson Wing, I just was never really invested. And I think the big part of that is I'm just not a big fan of flamingos. I mean, when I'm going to the zoo, I don't go to the zoo to go see flamingos. I want to see lions, I want to see giraffes, elephants, hippos, gorillas, all of that. Which was a great part of my, my spring break trip. Or, well, I don't know if it's not a trip, but it's a day at the zoo. But it was a fine story. I thought it was fine, but nothing really memorable, so it's gonna go in D, unfortunately. Like, it's really well shot, but that's all I can really say. Then we have Earth, which is sort of a documentary movie based off of the TV series Planet Earth. I thought this was actually pretty good. It was definitely beautifully well shot, and I thought that the story actually fit the title, where it was exploring, you know, the land animals, the water animals, you know, the ones that are in hot areas, the ones that are in water, the ones that are in cold areas, with polar bears, sea turtles, and elephants. I thought it was a pretty cool movie. You're going in B. Next up, we have Ocean's 3D. This one was kind of weird because it was pretty cool to watch, but throughout the entire movie, someone in French kept talking in French. So it was kind of a weird thing. I'll put this in C. Next up, we have Oceans, the better version of Oceans. And I think that this was a much better movie. I don't know if it's quite as good as Earth, but it'll still go in B because it is quite gorgeous. I'll put it in C. Next up, we have the Butterfly movie. I forgot what it's called, but it's sort of the same energy as Crimson Wing. But I'll say it was a bit better in the way it was shot, so that's where I'll put it. Next up, we have African Cats. This is the documentary that tells the story of the lions and the cheetahs of Africa and what life they go through. And I feel like that lions and cheetahs, or at least really lions, they've been explored throughout most of, you know, movie history and animals and all of that stuff. That it's, for some reason, it's never been that interesting to watch them on, like, in a documentary per se. Especially when the documentary is about them. But when they're like the threat to the other animal of the prey, they're this imposing force. You're like scared of them. And in this one, I thought they handled the lion's story in this one really well. Even with the learning about cheetahs, I thought it was kind of cool, but not much to really discuss here. I thought Samuel L. Jackson's narration was quite cool, so, and there are still some beautiful shots, so I still gotta give it credit. Next up, we have Chimpanzee. This is actually one of the first ones that I love. I think that this documentary is very good, and I think we'll put it in A. Yeah, I think it's an A tier movie. One of my favorite animals are gorillas, and if anything, one of my favorite monkeys are gorillas, and if anything, chimpanzees are like the second best of the monkey family, and chimpanzee did such a great job where it can have the fun moments, but explore just all the greatness when it comes to chimpanzees and what they go through, and you can feel the emotion through them. Next up we have Bears, another film that I watched for the first time, and I loved it. And what this film actually brought for me was seeing the story of these brown bears. And every time I would see bears on screen, like, first off, the images are gorgeous, but more importantly, it's cute, and it's a very gorgeous story. It's a very well told story. So for me, I loved it. Is it better than Chimpanzee? Yeah, it is. Next up, we have Monkey Kingdom, which was actually a Disneynature film that I reviewed last month for its, 9-year anniversary? And I thought it was actually quite great. Yeah, it was actually, it's my favorite it's probably my favorite Disneynature film ever. I absolutely love it. It just shows what crazy things go on with monkeys in their lives. But it shows the funny side, it shows the cute side, but then it also shows the terror that can happen within it. And I loved it. I felt all the emotions. I remember going to see this in theaters with my mom and sister. It was a brilliant experience. Next up we have Growing Up Wild. This is sort of what Earth is, except it's in the perspective of the younglings of our animals. This is narrated by David Diggs. I thought it was kind of cool. Sort of feels like a Earth ripoff, but I liked it. I'll put it in B. Now, Born in China was one that I was actually very impressed with. What I really enjoyed about this one was it actually lives up to the name of the title, where the movie is exploring the different animals in China, from pandas to snow leopards to those weird little monkeys to cranes and all the above that we get more. And it's both funny and it's gorgeous. And that's all I really needed. I didn't really need to feel any emotion of a monkey in China dying, or a panda in China dying, or a snow leopard falling off a cliff. I just needed to have some beautiful shots and explore these interesting animals of China, and that's really much what we got, and I am okay with that. I love that. So, I'll still put it in B. It's not top tier, but it is very good. Next up, we have March of the Penguins 2, which I did watch the first March of the Penguins to prepare for this one, and I thought it was okay. Granted, we have another penguin in the movie, which is the actual Disneynature penguins. This one, I don't know why it's included as a Disneynature film when the first one isn't, but it's good enough. So, as to where I'll put it in like C tier between these two. Blue, I have no idea what this movie is, but it's basically like a blue screen and someone's talking, and it's like for an hour. I have no idea what this movie is, so I'm gonna put this one in F. It's boring. Don't watch it, guys. It's not a good movie. Next up, we have Penguins, which, once again, I think is a really good Disneynature film. Me personally, I just love the way that this movie was shot. This was a gorgeous movie, and it just blew my breath away. But I also liked the story that they were able to tell about penguins and all of this stuff. So overall, I really enjoyed Penguins. It's gonna go in B. Next up, we have Dolphin Reef. For some reason, I'm not as into sea creatures as I am. I mean, I love looking at aquariums and stuff. I love looking. My fifth favorite animal of all time are sea turtles. So then, technically, I should be liking sea creatures a lot more. But watching them like on TV or something isn't all that interesting. Granted, I actually have seen a dolphin birth, not in real life, but a video of it. It's kind of cool. But as to where I'll put it, I'll put it above. I'll put it like here. It's good. I think it's very good. Next up, we come to the creme de la creme of Disneynature film. Well, the second creme de la creme. We have Elephant. For me, I thought this was a masterpiece of a Disneynature film. If you guys don't know, if you didn't watch that animal video, elephants are my second favorite animal of all time, I believe. And this movie came out during quarantine. It came out in April of 2020 on Disney Plus. And boy, let me tell you, this was a movie that I absolutely loved. And the thing is, when I came back from the zoo on that day, in spring break, I immediately was so invested because one of the best animals I saw at the zoo were elephants. Now, I saw two different types of elephants. I saw the Asian elephants, and then I saw African bush elephants. And both types of elephants I thought were gorgeous in their own fashion, especially since we got like a huge view of them. But I think the boring thing about elephants when you go to zoos is they're always just standing still and not really doing anything interesting. I want to see them active. I want to see them move around. I want to see an elephant trumpet. Even though it might scare me, I want to see that. And we have never gotten that. This documentary right here actually shows us the personal stuff of elephants. And I don't know if it's like because my TV shows like 4D movies in 4K or whatever. But every shot in this movie, when it was like going from day to night to the sunsets to the sunrise to the glimmering of the elephants in the mud baths, every shot in this movie is absolutely gorgeous. Like, this is possibly the most beautiful Disneynature film I've ever seen. And just kind of showing you the true nature of what elephants are and what actual elephants are like. And actually telling an interesting story about elephants migrating and showing you what kind of obstacles they're going to have to go through when doing that. So, they have to get food, they have to avoid lions, and you can actually kind of see that when doing that, it causes stress on them, and that one of them is going to die, yet they still stand strong. And that's just what makes these creatures so lovable, so great. And I love that, and it also makes a story about how smart they are. So I was floored by this movie. I talk more about this movie more because I recently watched it, and it's a more recent movie for me. But boy, it is a great film. It's not. I don't know if it's as good as Monkey Kingdom, but it's very good. Then we have Polar Bear, which came out in 2022. I thought this film was okay. Like I said, I'm not as into polar bears as most people are. But I like it. I liked it. I thought it was good. As to where I'll put it, though, I'll put it at the top of C tier. Mainly because I enjoyed it more than others. And yeah. And finally, we have Tiger, the newest Disneynature film. And honestly, this is actually one of the best the next best Disneynature film that they have made. I was kind of nervous because I'm like, I didn't necessarily love Polar Bear as much, but Tiger blew me out of the park. Now, keep in mind, tigers are actually some of my favorite animals of all animal life. And what this movie was able to do was to tell a story of the life of tigers. You see these cubs grow and change. You see of how this mother teaches the cubs of how to fend for themselves and what obstacles they'll come through. But I think what's also great, and you also get to see like this male tiger wants to eat the other cubs or try to kill them, and the mother tries to protect them. It's like it has all that interesting stuff. But I think what also was elevated through this film, it has gorgeous shots of the jungles of India. Whenever it comes to a hunting scene when a tiger's trying to get for food, it kind of shows, it kind of goes quiet a little bit, and you kind of feel scared a little bit. And then even like you kind of see how this jungle of India kind of feels like a connected world of itself. And that is something that I was not expecting from this movie about tigers. Tigers are basically like the king of the jungles of India, like lions are the king of the jungle. Tigers are the king of the jungles of India, and the fact that they were able to take the boss, yet they were able to establish the incredible world of India, and actually get some animals. Like you got to see some frogs hitting each other. You get to see that the frogs kind of help the tigers when they're in the water and they're eating the fleas off their back. Just a brilliant movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. Easily one of my favorite films of this month. And honestly, April's been a pretty great month for movies thus far. So, yeah, that is my ranking of all 18 Disneynature films. I don't know when the next one's going to be, but I'm hoping the next one's going to be great, because I have high hopes for what Disneynature's going to produce in the future, because I am loving this. And that is my ranking of all 18 Disneynature films on the tier list. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.